These guys here are part of the puffball family. This is called the Gem-Studded Puffball. They typically have this dark spot on the center at the top. And again, I don't know if it'll come out on this video or not. But they have little, I don't know what to call them, little studs, I guess, all over the top of them. Almost little spines or little spikes. They're not hard or pointy. They rub right off if you rub them with your finger. But that's what indicates the Gem-Studded Puffball. As I'm showing you these Gem-Studded Puffballs, I noticed a chanterelle coming up right there under the leaves. So nice bonus. Actually, these were the bonus. I was out hunting chanterelles. Now with the puffballs, what you always want to do is cut them open and make sure they're completely white inside, solid white. Make sure there's no little, what they call an embryo of a mushroom on the inside, because the amanitas, which can be poisonous, they start out as a little egg-like thing in the ground, and they grow out of that. If you cut them open, then you'll see that developing mushroom on the inside. So these are edible. I actually haven't had the Gem-Studded before, so I'm going to take them home and try them. But I have had the giant puffballs, and they're not one of my favorites. But I'll do a video on them this fall, I'm sure. So I'll take these home, cook them up, and see how they taste. Well, as I said, I'm going to try these Gem-Studded Puffballs. I think I mentioned already that puffballs are not one of my favorite mushrooms to eat. I've tried both the giant puffball and the pear-shaped puffball, and don't really care for either that much. I figured, just for the sake of trying it, I'd try the Gem-Studded Puffballs. Just a few of them, not too many. They just kind of keep a spongy texture, in my experience, after you cook them. I heard of someone who slices them real thin, sort of batters them like French toast, and then puts maple syrup on them. I may actually try that this year if I get a giant puffball later in the fall. Every year I seem to try one or two just to see if I can figure out a way to make them taste better, but anyway, we'll see how these are. I don't expect them to be much different. Well, here they are. I already tried a couple pieces, and you know, it's not the flavor is bad. It's just the texture. They just stay kind of spongy. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing. Okay, a couple things that I figured I should mention about the Gem-Studded Puffball that I failed to. One is that I already mentioned that you need to cut it open and make sure it's solid white inside, because if it has what looks like the formation of a stem or gills forming, or what they call an embryo, just like a tiny mushroom forming on the inside, then you do not want to eat it. It's not a puffball, it's some other kind of mushroom in its beginning stages. However, I failed to mention that when you cut it open, you want to make sure it's solid white material on the inside, but it has to be white. If it's starting to turn yellow or brownish or maybe a little greenish, then it's past its prime. It's already starting to spore out, and you don't want to eat it. It won't be good. And they're better the firmer they are. When they're young, you take them, you squeeze them. If they're nice and firm, feel solid, they're going to be the best. The ones I got were starting to get a little spongy. I could squish them in when I squeezed them. So they weren't at their best. However, I will say that they were the best of the puffballs that I've had. Like I said, I've tried the other two species, and these I think were a little better than the others. I was a little impressed. It's still not my favorite. I prefer many other types of mushrooms over even those. But as far as puffballs go, I'd give it a thumbs up. They're pretty good. So I'm looking forward to actually finding some that are still really nice and firm, and not as soft as these ones were. But like I said, because they weren't turning yellow on the inside, they were still good to eat, even though they were a little spongy. I think that's about all I got. Hope you get a chance maybe to try them someday, if you want to. Like I said, they're not the best. So if you're just looking for the choice edible mushrooms, then start with some other ones, and you might just want to leave the puffballs alone. I think that's about all I have. Thanks for watching.